Hey there, it's Derry from Honeymoon Suite, people, and you are watching CMS TV.
I got them on stage in England. It was a fight, believe me. We had not seen each other for 2 decades. And meeting at Heathrow, and it was awkward. We were riding with Lynch Mob, and we had a bad time with them on tour. George was not very kind to us. And Curtis had made a metal pick for him because he plays with metal picks and handed it to George in that van, and George looked at it and threw it out the window. So all hell broke loose.
Right.
Chichi's in the van. He looked at me. He said, "This is my last gig with Lynch. I'm going out with Whitesnake next week." Crane's laying on the floor, rolling his eyes. It was just awkward.
CHRIS Akin Presents. I, of course, am Chris Akin, and today on the show, one of my old friends of the business, one that's hung around it even longer than I have, which is a very long time, and he is back. He's back. He's better than ever. Bangalore Choir is back. Brand new release, getting ready to come on Target 2. That's bold all by itself. We are going to talk all about that and more with the one, the only, the great David Reece. David, how are you, man?
Firing on all cylinders for the rapid fire succession Bangalore Choir on Target Part 2.
That's right. Well, dude,
Here
I have to tell you right up front, man, the song that I've heard, and I'm assuming the rest of the record, is fantastic. And the reason I'm assuming it's fantastic is because I don't think that you would automatically put your name on something to compare it to something else unless you were super confident about it. So tell us about this new album and tell us why you feel so confident about it.
Oh, let's see. Let me see if I can think that fast. Boy, that was quick. The truth of the matter is, Chris, I've been out touring solo for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be honest, branding is what it's all about. Now, people know me. They know me well. But as I'm playing these gigs, some are better. They never really get any fuller, the venues. So I'm looking at Dokken, I'm looking at Foreigner, and I'm looking at Night Ranger, and I'm thinking to myself, I came from that. And Bangalore Choir is a brand because honestly, I play 75% of my set is BC music.
Okay.
On Target. And when I play the songs, everybody's singing the words going cuckoo.
Right.
So I kind of had an epiphany. I was coming home from France last December and I called my manager. I said, "Man, the booking agency's saying, yeah, I got you on this festival for 2026. I've got October 2025 booked up. We're fighting. I said, what if I was to tell you I want to reform or we come back out, rebrand Bangalore Choir?" And it was like it knocked the air out of them. They go, "Thank God." And literally, like when I announced that, a couple of days later, I was getting more offers.
Okay.
Because on the marquee, it grabbed attention because people familiarize with it. They know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But, it just, I had to use my head, bro. In this day and age we're living in. And now to answer the other part of your question, how did I get to going to try to replicate on Target? Is that what you meant?
Well, I'll put it another way. Let me rephrase the question. It is damn hard to do a follow-up that people like. Let's be honest. I know Giles is out there comparing it to Bat Out of Hell 2. Fair enough, I guess. But, even that record, nobody's going to the Meatloaf catalog and saying, you know what, I want to hear, Life's a Lemon and I want my money back.
I mean, yeah. When people compare it like that, all due respect to Giles, that scares the living crap out of me, because that was a time in our life where that thing came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the people involved, it was just one of those magical moments that just inundated radio. And what was when they go into the break with the girls singing it? Well, there's like an 8-minute song.
Right.
What I mean? It was like, it was a freak of nature. And he's a freak of nature. So, his reference was the production value, get back to the nitty gritty that, you know, I grew up on, basically. You know, I was never really, honestly, a Mutt Lange fanatic.
Sure.
I thought it was really overdone. I love the guys in the band and I love their songs, but when Hysteria came around, everybody had to make us a Hysteria. It changed the game. And I'm like, for God's sakes, I mean, there's 90 vocal tracks on this song. What are we doing?
Right.
You know, we're never going to sound as good as Mutt. It's not going to happen. But to go back to the kind of what we're getting at, the branding, and not that I was flailing, I just wasn't getting my head fully above water. And to go back 30 something years and try to put my head in the same place, dude. Andy Susamil and I called him and said, we're doing this. Brave Words wants to sign me, and they're all on it, but it's got to be like on target. Now, Andy had done some shows with me and Curtis and stuff in Europe, and he knew the game. So there's like 3 or 4 like hit and misses we did when we started. We thought, oh yeah, this is great. And then we both listened and went, that ain't it. That ain't it. So I would study on target and I go, man, I don't know if I can do this, man. I mean, what I was going through, I was fired from Accept. Before I went to Germany to get an Accept, I couldn't get arrested in LA. I mean, everybody and their brother's a waiter or a lead singer or a guitar player. As soon as I was gotten fired from Accept and went back with the momentum, everybody knew who I was, and I'd walk into a club and go, hey, man, you're that guy from Accept. So I formed the band. I got really lucky. Go right into, I was in that German frame of mind from working with Dirks and those guys. I mean, I drove those guys crazy. We were in this old garage where they made military uniforms and police uniforms. We rented a space, and we were there every night with an 8-track, writing and recording. And we did that for 3 months. Then we would play a show once a month. And after 9 shows, so let's say a year, I had an offer from every label in LA. And I remember going to see Michael Schenker. Herman had called me from the Scorpion and said, hey, we're in town. We're going to the Palace to see Mikey play. Meet me at the fire escape and come hang out with us. So my band are like, you know the Scorpions? Well, yeah, I was there with them while they were doing Savage. So we meet Herman. And as I'm walking up, Kevin Moran from Giant Warner Brothers walks up to me and goes, hey, man, I'm hearing a lot of stuff on the street with offers for Bangalore. I said, yeah, you want to get on the bus? Or if you do, you better say yes, because I'd like you, Kevin. Let's make a deal.
Right.
And he said, be in my office tomorrow morning at 9:30. And we had made a multi-dollar deal, literally like in 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
And to go back to that mindset, back to that, was not an easy task. So Andy and I really, really knocked it around for about a month. And then, like a herd of mavericks stampeding, it came, that first song. And I went, okay, we're getting it. And then we got to harmonize this. We got to get into that 4-part, because Bangalore is a torpedo choir, explosive vocals. So then I'm going into all these, oh my God, I need 4 and 5-part harmonies. And then you start doing that whole thing. It changes the chorus. You know, you got to start structuring songs. And then, you know what, Andy? We need more guitar colors under this chorus. So we started, it happened. And like I said, like I heard mavericks rushing down off a mountain in Montana, you know, where the guys, a bunch of cowboys chasing, here it came. It was like the rain.
Right.
And I knew the steady flow of writers that I've worked with over the last 10 or so years. I said, I got to call Mario Percadani. You know, his work with Hardline and his solo work. He's an amazing artist as well.
Sure.
I said, hey, man, I'm doing this. He goes, come over. So I went to his studio, excuse me. And we wrote 3 tunes that week, all 3 of them on the record. Nice. I Never Meant To, I'm Headed For, and Love and War. So I said, okay, there we go. We got like 5 or 6. And then I went to do a gig. Incidentally, it was Les Bink's last live performance. I went to Holland for a thing called Rock Party of the Year, January 31st and 1st of February. And Les was the drummer. There was all these different artists. So basically it was a cover weekend, but it was sold out. Huge gig, couple thousand people. And Les was there. So I was like, wow, I get to meet Les Pinks, Sadly, 2 weeks later, he's gone.
Wow.
And I met this guy named Marcel Signar, who was the only guitarist that played the whole set the whole night. And I watched this guy play and go, how many songs are you playing each night? He goes, about 60. I mean, his fingers were literally flat, bro.
Wow.
From playing. They were flat. They looked flat, like one of those frogs that climbs walls.
Right.
And but I felt something about him. I said, this guy's. So we just start talking, and he's like, yeah, I got a record coming out. And he played me a few songs. I go, you're a Todd Rundgren fan, aren't you? And he goes, oh my God, you know Todd Rundgren? So there kind of goes the Steinman thing.
Sure.
We start talking about that. So he wrote a song with me called Sail On. And it's kind of got a Van Halen jump kind of break in it, which really turned me on. I went, ah. And then Jimmy Waldo, of course, is playing a little keyboards on that song because it needed that little color.
Sure.
And then I went to see Axel Pell because Ferdy is a good friend of mine. And I said to Ferdy, I said, Ferdy, you and I could just, he said to me one time, we were just jamming. And he said, there's two singers that I can play with that are like you. I go, what do you mean? Who's the other guy? He goes, Joe Lynn Turner. When I end here on the keyboard, you're right there because you know how to sing gospel rock. It's in your soul. And I went, well, thank you. So I said, I'm going to call Ferdy. And there's a song called Mending Fences. It's got kind of an Elton John gospel thing to it.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent me two beautiful piano pieces. And I just set down the number one and I went, that's it. So we put that on the record. I have got my bass player, who's also my producer from my solo band, Riccardo Di Marosi.
Sure.
He recorded all my vocals and played bass on the record. And the drummer that's in my solo band, Nelo Savinelli, is the drummer. But here I am with two lead guitar players, Andy and Mario, and I'm thinking, I need a big rhythm sound. So I went old school. I called Eric Uris and Diego Pires, who are the guitarists in Warlord with Giles. And I said, I want you guys to play rhythms. And they do a few solos on the record too. So what I did was every song has 3 rhythm tracks by both guys. And I go front, left, and right, like the old days.
Right.
So as you heard in Bullet Train, it's got that powerful da 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 da, right? Mm-hmm. Andy and I wrote Bullet Train. That was one of the about middle way through the journey on the record. He came up with that riff, and I said, "That sounds like a bullet train." And he goes, "Yeah, it does." And there it was, man. Right. We wrote about 24 songs.
Okay.
And then it was Giles's idea. He goes, "Dave, let's make this Act 1, Act 2. So it's 8 songs. Act 1, Act 2 is 8 songs. So there's 16 tracks on the record.
Oh wow,
24. Yep. I said, is that going to fit? Isn't it like 100-minute limit? And he goes, yeah. You're like at 97, 98.
Nice.
So it's basically a double album in one.
Right. This episode of the CMS Network is brought to you by our sponsor, Blackout Coffee. If you are a coffee lover, you will love what they are selling over at Blackout Coffee. Make sure you get yourself some. The only thing woke about this company is the drinker of the coffee, because it gives you quite a jolt. I am a personal fan of the Brutal Awakening Dark Roast, but everybody's a little bit different. Make sure you get what is your favorite today. Go to blackoutcoffee.com. Use the promo code CHRIA20 to save 20% on your first order. It's that simple. So one more time, blackoutcoffee.com. That is the link, or use the full link if you're going to shop around. That is scrolling on the bottom, and get yourself some of the best coffee that is out there today. blackoutcoffee.com. Well, let me ask you this, David. I mean, I from you explaining it, it makes sense what I heard with Bullet Train. That being said, your last, since 2020, the solo records have not been this style, have been much heavier, much more punch. you know, much more, not that this doesn't have punch, but it's more melodic than the other stuff was a lot more just straight up metal. Was it hard? Was part of the struggle and the need to get other people involved with you because you were in such a metal frame mentally as far as writing, where you needed some people that were not maybe as heavy metal as you to guide it a little bit?
Yeah. Yes and no.
Okay.
One thing that slapped me upside the head was some friends of mine toured Asia, and they're fans of mine apparently. And they had Bangalore Choir records, and they had my last one, Baptized by Fire. And they said, we really like this, but we really miss this Dave. And that was another part of the conversation I had with the management. I said, I'm not that guy. You know, I was growing. I'm not criticizing myself, but I'm a hard rock singer. I love new metal. I love new bands. But lately I found my family listens to, believe it or not, Nirvana, Chris Cornell, Slipknot. My boys are in their middle 20s. My wife loves that stuff, and Priest and all that. But if you listen to Eat the Heat, that's melodic hard rock. Okay, that's overproduced. And then Bangalore is kind of following that. I went through a phase in my life where I got stuck in a David Coverdale vibe.
Okay.
And I think a lot of us did. And it was like, good God, this is getting redundant. You know, there might be 2 or 3 really good songs on the record, but the rest is filler. And I wouldn't say that I abandoned heavy singing, but this feels more like me. And everybody that's heard this is going, man, you're back. So, and I'd kind of been criticized about that a few times by people that I'd listened to. What are you doing, Dave? You know,
Right.
Cacophony of Souls with A Resilient Heart was about as melodic, bluesy rock. And I kind of got away from those, and I Blacklist and stuff like that. I went, and then Iron Allies was kind of a freak of nature. I mean, Herman, out of the blue, sent me an email and said, let's write some songs. And I'm like, well, that could be good. 2X Accept guys, you know, play wise and exposure wise, business wise, this might be a smart decision. Unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Right.
It just fizzled. It sold really well, and we played some huge festivals last year, but he's off on this Victory thing, which is funny because he always says, I'm a super heavy metal guy. But if you listen to Victory, it's a lot like what I'm doing.
Yeah, sure.
Because Gianni is a fabulous singer. I mean, he's a hard rock pop singer. So we're both kind of on our own roads that way, and we're not doing the, you know.
No, you're right. But I imagine, correct me if I'm wrong on this. I imagine though that for you, because I know, you know, and you know this, me and you have talked on each of the last 3 records. You're super proud of that heavier David Reece that you were giving us. Is it frustrating that the rest of the world only looked at, like, they didn't look at those records as individual records. They looked at it as, well, here's the guy that did the One Accept record and Bangalore Choir, instead of here's some kick-ass music.
Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow. I mean, you're only as good as your last record, bro. And when you're in it, you think you're doing what's right. But then when you finish, it's the weirdest thing. It's like kind of like what you hear about women having children, you know, the build up, and then the baby comes and everybody kind of goes cuckoo.
Right.
You know, and then the difference of this record is that I did a lot of it with the guys in the band, and the recording ways now is you're in another continent, you're recording like we're talking, and I'm singing sometimes like this, and somebody's playing guitar. It's kind of weird, but it's the world we live in. But the fans, you know, I just have to be honest. I mean, I added, I would do Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City in my set. I would do Angel in Black. I would do Ecstasy. I would do Hellhammer, Angel in Black. And then one day I was watching a black guy cover Changes by Black Sabbath. And I remember how that song just killed me. And I said, I want to do that live. So I threw it in the set one night in France. I stopped singing and the audience was singing it. I said, this is the keeper.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm keeping that in the set. And I realized that's what they kind of expect out of me, you know. And I as a singer, the older you get, the harder it gets to hit those space notes with conviction. You can fake it, but if I can stay where my voice is in its realm, I'm still able to do it with conviction. I can plant my feet in the ground. So, do I have anxiety about what people think? You know, what is he doing now? Sure. But
Okay.
I think they get it. When they hear the record, they'll go, yeah, he's back.
Right.
I feel like I'm back. But I obviously I've got the, you know, the jitters, bro. But
Yeah. No,
hearing
I
your
hear you.
response to Bullet Train, I mean, the whole record is, I guarantee, is just amazing.
Sure.
It's
Well,
weird,
Bullet
man.
Train is
Sometimes
great.
right,
I mean, Bullet Train itself,
you
great
feel
track. And
you feel it? You feel it like it's heavy Bangalore Choir?
I do, but I don't want to go as far as you're saying that, quote unquote, he's back, because I love the last three records, so I don't think you'd gone anywhere. But then again, I'm a bit of a music file, whatever that term is, you know, where
Yeah.
I keep up with stuff. I would imagine, I'd imagine that there's going to be a lot of people that probably haven't heard you since On Target that are going to hear it again. They're going to recognize the name. They're going to play it for the first time, and they're going to get a taste. And Bullet Train is going to be that taste. What was it about that song that made you the most confident that that's going to be the first one that they hear?
Public opinion.
Okay.
I did a survey amongst. There's another song called Driver's Seat that's like Slipping Away. And with Giles, he was sold on Driver's Seat, but the guys I worked with in the group, and you know, you got to listen to your band, you know.
True.
So I took a survey. I WhatsApped everybody. Out of these two songs, which one do you think's the best for the first single? Everybody but Giles said Bullet Train.
Okay.
And I felt Bullet Train. My wife felt Bullet Train. My son said Bullet Train. And then Giles was pushing for Driver's Seat. I said, Giles, here's how we do this. Send those two tracks to the record company and their radio people and get the survey.
Sure.
They all came back Bullet Train.
Okay.
It's got the colors of that era, but a little bit of what's happening now. Because the bridge is very Judas Priest. It's almost breaking the law, kind of. It's got that a little bit, early 80s Priest. And then it's got the da-da-da, the very melodic chorus with all the harmonies. And the, you know, big guitars, bro. People want to hear guitars. And if anybody that I've met in my life, that when you have a chemistry with somebody, like I do with Andy or Mario, it just, I don't know how to explain it, man. It's weird. They look at you and they go, I know what you mean. And then they record it and you go, oh, that's what I meant. I can play a little, but I can't play like them.
Right, sure. Hey, it's Chris Akin from the Classic Metal Show, Chris Akin Presents, and the Seth Williams Show, straight from the uncensored heart of the CMS network. We've just been crowned a certified Rumble creator, and that means we're bringing the heat. All our shows, commercial free, baby. Advance episode drops sometimes months before the normal release, so you're not stuck waiting. You'll get all this plus exclusive content for Rumble Premium subscribers that'll blow your mind. And with Rumble Premium, you'll get every CMS Network show and all of Rumble's other videos with no ads and no fluff. This is our official home, Rumble. It's raw, powerful, and unfiltered. You want in? Just hit us up at rumble.com/register/classic metal show to sign up for free commenting, chat live, and just your ability to join the chaos of all of our shows. Then while you're there, swing by any of our videos, smash that Rumble Premium button, and level up. Subscribe now. Don't sleep on this. Hit the link in the description. Now, David, obviously, man, you're putting out a Bangalore Choir record. people are going to want to see it. People are going to want to see it. What are the tour plans? And specifically, what are the plans of, or I guess more to the point, how much of the original On Target do you mix in with the new stuff? Do you do full album A,
Funny
full
you should
album
ask
B,
that.
or?
I put in the Bullet Train driver's seat, and I asked for one more from the guys off the new album. But the first album will be what I have been doing. Just One Night, All or Nothing, Angel in Black, Freight Train, Slipping Away, and these 3 new tracks. And I'm going to put Ecstasy in again from Accept.
Sure.
And Hellhammer. And then I do the cover song Changes from Sabbath, which I saw them do Sunday with that kid, what's he called? Yeah, he did it. And if you saw the audience, that song does something to people.
Oh, it does.
And I've experienced. And the way Ozzy was singing in those days, I think Zach said it, because how did you get like that in those days of Ozzy? I was taking a lot of drugs. Perfect Ozzy answer. It must have been the drugs. But I mean, certain songs, there's emotion that, that work. And when somebody's moving their mouth and looking you right in the eyes on stage, they know the song.
Mm-hmm.
And
right
if
on.
that, like when I got the guys to agree to do Firefest in 2010, that was no easy feat. We had not spoken to one another for 19 years.
Wow.
I mean, can you imagine? We were going to go out on the Slip of the Tongue tour. We had the same management. Coverdale, I was told, was having vocal issues starting around Slide It In, and heard the record, and Howard Kaufman was all up about this new band Bangalore that he was managing. And Coverdale heard me sing and said, no, we're taking a European band. We had like 40 dates, Asia and Europe. We were like, okay, this is going to break the band. Literally like a week later, he doesn't want you guys opening. But that's a compliment, Dave. Coverdale's a little intimidated by what you're able to do, so we'll find you another tour. Well, in the meantime, we get Mexico with some level B bands like us, and West Coast, and then Texas, and then you know what I mean. But that was a heartbreaker for the band, and then a month later, we were thrown under the bus, basically told to get a day job.
Right.
So everybody kind of ran their separate directions, and a lot of finger pointing. And to Kurt Mitchell's credit, I released Beyond Target with Giles. We had found the demos from making On Target. Guy was holding him hostage on me. I won't mention his name. Wanted me to buy him back. He had gone to the vault, and they didn't know he was out of the band. He had been fired, and said, I'm here to get the masters. Well, he sent me a ransom note, basically. And I said, well, I know how to spell FBI. So send them back. So we basically took the songs that Curtis really wanted as Bangalore Choir, because we got stuck in that corporate box. And songs like Loaded Gun, Kurt looked at me and goes, I'm not recording that piece of crap. That's not me. I'm not doing a record company's movement. But you got to get a hit. And me, when you make it, you got your fingers on the door frame, right? You do not want to miss that. So you go, okay, if you say so. And for me to sing it live, I don't sing it that well live. And it really wasn't the song that people remembered from that era. It was Angel in Black and, and All or Nothing and Just One Night. That's what we were. So to Kurt's credit, his integrity was always stubborn, but he was right. And then I got them on stage in England. It was a fight, believe me. We had not seen each other for 2 decades.
Wow.
And meeting at Heathrow, and it was awkward. We were riding with Lynch Mob, and we had a bad time with them on tour. George was not very kind to us. And Curtis had made a metal pick for him because he plays with metal picks, and handed it to George on that van. And George looked at it and threw it out the window. So all hell broke loose.
Right.
Chichi's in the van. He looked at me, he said, this is my last gig with Lynch. I'm going out with Whitesnake next week. Crane's laying on the floor, rolling his eyes. It was just awkward. But when we got to the hotel room, I had a bunch of companies deliver gear for us. We sat down, and the drummer had cardboard boxes, a Dutch guy, and we played through the set, and we had a room full of people, and it was like we never stopped playing together. It was just,
Wow.
and the next day we played the gig, and we were in this cavern in the basement of this theater. Have you been to Nottingham? Have you been to Farfest?
England? Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what it's like. Down in the guts of that place is the dressing room.
Sure.
You can't hear anything up there. It sounded like it was empty. When we walked on stage, we went on about 6 p.m. There's a curtain and it drops, and there's 1,500 people with flags from different countries. We kick into the on target stuff, and the place went bananas. And I had so many people say to me, I've waited 19 years to see this band.
Right.
I mean, when we walked to the venue from the hotel behind it, the Welbeck, people were screaming our name, waiting in the queue. And this, I'm going, what's going on? You know, what is this?
Mhm.
Had I known then what I know now, I
Sure.
would have brought the band over to Europe. And because, you know, grunge didn't really do anything till like 2 years after it hit where we're from.
Right.
We could have kept them. I was told it was over. Go home, you know.
Yeah. Can't go to the local Kmart and get a gig at that point, right? That's what they were saying.
I did. I
Yeah.
did. I got a construction job and started ranching cattle in Montana. I disappeared 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I
Well,
was sick to my stomach, but
I hear you, but it's certainly good that you found your way back, man, and you've been making great music, you know, since you've been back. The last three, and I know we're here to talk about Bangalore Choir, which I certainly say you should definitely look for and get the new one when it comes out, Rapid Fire Succession on Target too. But in the meantime, you should also go look up David Reese's solo stuff, especially Cacophony of Souls. Fantastic music as well. That'll hold you over till the Bangalore Choir. David, let's wrap this up this way, man. Where's the best place for people to go to actually buy something, not just stream it?
Brave Words, there's an email link to their website, and I got to give a shout out to Brave Words because they've been great, man. They got a great push. They've been promoting me, putting me in touch with you.
Sure.
Not that Alberto was any worse. I just felt the need for change. I would go there,
Okay.
and I can give you a little shout out for the tour dates. You'd asked me a few
Yeah,
minutes ago.
please.
In October, about the middle of October, I go out and I'm going to carry Eric Uris on guitar and Diego Pires as my guitarists and my solo band, bassist and drummer. We
Okay.
begin in Paris, go to Belgium till about, I think, the first week of November. And then towards the end of November, I go out with Alcatraz and Girls School for
Great.
15 dates. Then I've got the Volcanic Festival in early summer in France, and then I've got, I believe it's Hellfest and a couple German festivals next year. But seeing Giles in Warlord last week open for Priest,
Mm-hmm.
which they kicked butt, I have to be honest. I mean, it
Sure.
was like 95 degrees and 90% humidity. And watching those kids sing those Warlord songs, Giles really kicked it. The band was great. He said to me after the show, you want to go out and support Warlord in February? I said, yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
So if you go to Bands in Town,
Mhm.
there's a list of all the dates for all your European listeners. Now, I did speak to a guy last night about the U.S. There's an agency in the Midwest and one in the Southwest that are asking me, what do you think about the end of March? I'm like,
Okay.
let's do it. So I'm going to promote the record. It's supposed to come out sometime in September
Okay.
2025. The first video will come out the 19th of July.
Okay.
I think you're going to air the Bullet Train as well on your
Mhm.
show.
Yes, we are.
Is that the 19th of July?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So that'll be out, and you can find me Instagram. You can find me David Reese's Bangalore Choir, Facebook, David Reese Official. I'm always, I really don't like to overdo. If I don't have anything to say, I'm not going to go, hey, this is me standing in front of a statue and
Right. Here's my lunch.
Yeah, I mean, here's my cat. That's my dog. I mean, when there's something to say, I want to say it if it's got some weight to it.
Sure. Very good.
I'm really stoked, Chris. I mean, I think this is a good one.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to hear the whole thing. I've heard the Bullet Train. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Rapid fire reset. Try again. Rapid fire succession on target, part 2, Bangalore Choir. Look for it, buy it when you can, and rock it.
Yes,
and David,
please.
this is always fun, man. Thank you so much for joining me here on Chris Akin Presents.
Aiken, you are rocking. I wish you great success, and I'm sure we'll be rattling again, hopefully sometime the end of this year.
Absolutely.
And maybe I can send you some links to some of the shows.
Yeah.
A shout out to everybody at Brave Words, Michael, Tim, and Giles. Thank you. And the only way we're all going to keep this together, brother, is if people actually buy the records. There's a brand new line of merch. I'm re-releasing the On Target t-shirt on this tour, and I've got a new one for Rapid Fire Succession. So I'm hard at it as usual. I'm actually writing today.
Nice.
No time like the present.
That's right. Very good. Well,
For a
David,
follow-up.
right, there you go. Part 3.
Part 3.
Well, dude, it's always fun chatting, man. Thanks so much.
You too, brother. Thank you, and nice talking to you.